All right, we are here in the William F. Miles Community Garden. I'm Bethany Pratt with Jefferson County Extension, and we are with Bill Collodi. And we are going to be staking tomatoes today. There's a lot of different ways to stake tomatoes that are all correct. Bill really has done a lot of this already, right, with these single stakes here, so one stake per tomato plant. But when we start getting a whole lot here,
right,
that can be challenging. So we're going to set up a Florida weave on one row. And then I think you had some questions about some stakes.
Yeah, the first question I had is, these stakes, actually I just pulled this up a little while ago from a diseased plant area, and because I know we disinfect our instruments between cuts, what can I do? Do I need to do anything, I guess, to reuse this stake immediately over here, or is it okay as it is?
So ideally we want to disinfect our stakes every year at the end of the season. Unfortunately, we wiped this down right in between, so that we use that same sanitizer solution that we were utilizing, that 1 part bleach to 10 parts water. We wipe down our stake, we're going to let it dry, and it's good to go again. So if you want to use them from year to year, that's the way to do it. Otherwise, absolutely, right, those aphids or maybe even some of the bacterial diseases can hang out in your stakes over the winter.
That's amazing.
That puts you at a disadvantage right from the beginning.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and drive this stake in. We're putting it kind of just at the outer edge here.
Yeah, so what we're thinking about here at the Florida Weave is we're going to make a big hug to kind of hold up a whole bunch of plants together. Bill has a lot of indeterminate plants, which means that they're going to grow 8+ feet tall. So these nice big stakes that require a ladder are the way to go to get that in.
It's no fun to have your stake, your tomatoes outgrow your stake.
No, it's not, right? So with these nice tall stakes, you're never going to run out of space for it. For some of our shorter plants, like this determinate, having a shorter stake that's, you know, maybe 5.5 feet tall is perfect, because they're just not going to get as tall.
Now most of the tomatoes you buy in the stores are indeterminate, right?
You know, that's a good question. More and more we're seeing determinate tomatoes or patio tomatoes.
Okay.
Right, and those are the ones like this tomato right here that aren't just going to get as tall.
Right.
And those are great for tomato cages. So if you're a tomato cage person, please buy a determinate plant. It grows to a determined size and stops. If you are really into some of the heirlooms or the indeterminates, you're going to want to invest in these nice big stakes, or maybe some T-posts or rebar to really make sure you've got the height to hold up your
ready to.
All right, so we've got our stakes, and this is really kind of the most important part. The next thing that we're going to need is some kind of string or twine. This is just some jute twine. There's also plastic twines out there that are totally acceptable.
And that'll break down at the end of the year, right?
This will. So this will compost. This can go in your compost at the end if you want it. It's also a little more forgiving.
Okay.
But the twine you have is the best twine that you can use. All right, so from here, we're going to start on one end. And I'm going to tie a knot around here at about, for the first one, I want to go about 2/3 of the way up the plant. I'm just going to make a nice even knot. We'll twist around here, secure it, tie. I'm going to tie a square knot. This does not have to be very fancy. And then Bill, I'm going to have you walk this to the other side and do the same thing, and we're going to kind of go on the outsides of the tomato plants here. So we're tucking them in as we go.
Okay.
So we're making this nice hug around our plants. There we go. All right. And so from here, we want to keep it about the same height. And we want to cut it a little long, and then we're going to tie it around. Yep, tie it around there. We're going to make sure we've got some good tension on here.
Tie a knot.
And then tie a knot.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, and now we're going to do the same thing on the back, right? Because remember, we're making that nice hug for our plants.
Okay, so
you're going
want me to
to start on that side.
same height?
Same height, yep.
Okay.
Beautiful. So we're going to do this, and I'm going to run it down to the other side. Thank you. They look about the same height.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So this is kind of like a cage.
Yeah, so we're kind of building our own cage as we go. So you can see how this this is going to go on. So this is not the end, right? So like your tomatoes that are just on the single stakes,
Right.
you tie them up every so often. We're going to let these tomatoes grow, and we're going to run our next line about 6 to 8 inches up.
Okay.
So we're going to wait for them to grow a little bit,
Okay.
and then we're going to come back out and do the exact same thing end to end here. So this is a method that's used to kind of just provide lighter support for our tomato plants. And it's also a material saver too. If you're somebody who's maybe growing a lot of plants or is just tired of pounding a stake into every single tomato, this is a great way to do it. It's also, your pruning here is going to be key to really supporting this.
And you're not in the tying up. You're not going to be. You're going to be going across. You won't have to be tying up every individual.
Exactly. Yep.
So that's going to be a big time saver.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of a labor saver. The other thing that really is great with this. So if you look at this plant right here, you've already done an excellent job of pruning.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so this pruning, right? So we can see. Pull a couple weeds out here. Where by pruning off these bottom leaves, you're doing a couple things here. One, you're preventing a lot of disease, right?
Right.
From that soil splash. You're also encouraging mostly just a little bit of trunk growth here, which is going to create a sturdy tomato plant. And then your subsequent leaves, right, as you're pruning them up, are going to kind of hold on to the string.
Okay.
They're not going to wrap around them like a pea or a green bean, but they're going to rest on them.
Okay.
And do really well. So your plan to prune here, kind of keep going with your plant. I like to prune at least all the way up to the height of my first string.
Okay.
After that, it's up to you.
Right.
But that's a great way to go.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, if your idea works here, and we'll know here in a few weeks.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big material income.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is just an alternative way to think about staking and trellising our tomatoes. But using these individual posts right here is also totally fine. The difference in commitment is every time your plant grows, we're tying up each individual plant.
If you have a lot of tomato plants, that's a lot of time.
It's a lot of time.
And you come home with greenish yellow skin.
Yeah. Yep, all your green fingers from doing all that.
Right.
So this is just an alternative method for doing that, for supporting your tomatoes. If you are someone who is a big believer in tomato cages, a lot of our neighbors here in this community garden are, be sure you're matching your cage height to the intended adult height of your tomato. So if you've got an indeterminate tomato plant like what we've got here, we want a cage that is as tall as these stakes to really support the plants. You can build them, you can purchase them, but that's a lot of tomato cage to store. So that's kind of why I really like doing either the tall single stakes or the Florida weave for my indeterminates, because it's a way to support them without having a bunch of big multi-material to store at the end. So we'll check back in with your tomatoes in a couple weeks, and it'll be time to add another row.
Sounds great.